This is our Shasta. This thing has got, you can see the belly in right here. That's all rotted. We're going to show you on the inside. They had some issues. You can see all the tape they got here. We're going to try and clean up the best we can. And the rot, as you can see that little wave right here, how it kind of bubbles out right there on that edge. That is some rot. So we're going to go inside and show you some more. So we're just starting to get it apart. We've got the window out. Let's go inside. You can see how rotted it is. See? Just all falling apart. It's all rotted in here. It's all mulch. That's what that is. Mulch. That's all it's good for now. So we're going to obviously take this platform out, and then take this piece out, take everything that's damaged. Obviously it's going to have to get replaced. So we'll see how we're doing on this. If this isn't all so bad, this top portion right here where this glass is, then we're going to leave it. But we will investigate all of this here. I see a wrinkle down in that corner. I want to make sure there's no rot in that wall. If there is, obviously we'll fix that. So we got that. And then see if we can jaunt up on the top. Kind of give you an overview on that. Somebody had put a commercial roof on here, and what the owner was hoping for us to do, see down that turn bar, it's got some waviness. What the owner was hoping that we would do is be able to put some curbs on here, but you can't just weld it TPO to TPO. It's not compatible like that. But you can see they got this big hump right here. They weren't able to pull it tight. And because they weren't able to pull it tight, now that's mainly a water trap. A little bit is okay, but that's a lot. That is a lot. Now I don't even know if they put any protection under here, but it doesn't look like it's compromised. But this is a pretty thick and heavy roof system. So, but there's no curbs, so you pretty much got the same. You got the same problem with them, right? So there's no protection here. And you really need to put a buffer piece in there, but they didn't do that. So obviously we're going to strip this. I'm guessing the decking would be okay, and that's about it. So what I did the other day, took all this apart because I needed to get a piece of this to see what the material was, and then I tried to do some sample welding, and you can see it didn't take. And he thought it was GAF, this is GAF right here, and I welded it right here, and it peeled right up, like literally just. And the same with this is Carlisle right here, but it could be, I mean, unless you know, typically the back. So the Carlisle is black, and then on the GAF it's a dark gray. And then they have another one that's a light gray, that's lighter than what is on here. So. Nonetheless, it doesn't want to weld to it. So that's where we're at with that. We're going to tear this. Obviously got some issues here, and look at, you barely got any gutter on here. I wouldn't even call that a gutter. So we're going to replace this with a gutter. Okay, we'll do that. And you can see how the caulking is all compromised right here. I don't see any primer on it, but I will say, I mean, it looks like it's stuck to it. So that's why I was saying, I don't even know if this is actually, it feels really rigid, and I'm not too sure that it's actually TPO. I'm really thinking it's PVC. That's what I'm thinking. But anyhow, you can see how dry this is. You know, that's pretty dry. And I know you probably got some sort of water going in up underneath there and here. So our curves will elevate all these right here. Vents, skylight, plumbing. It'll elevate all that out of the roof line, and we'll end up replacing this and crank up antenna as well. So they've got that satellite, which the plus side to that is we're gonna, when we get into it, we're gonna channel that wire all the way over here so it's under the roof. It shouldn't be sitting up on the roof like that. It's just, it just traps a lot of the water. You got wind and everything slapping on the roof. It's just not a good mix. So on the AC, you can see the, you see all the leaves under there? that's what happens. It gets trapped underneath there, and all that debris will actually start corroding the foam gasket underneath there. And you see there's nothing here. Look how slammed down it is. You need that elevated off the roof line. That's how a commercial roof functions. If you don't have these components on here, it's not going to last like it should. It's not designed right. But they don't care. At the manufacturers, they want to get them built, get them out, get them sold. That's it. There's nothing. Get them built, get them out, get them sold. So, and some of the other things that I'm looking at, we'll be going around. Here's a window. See, I'll back up a little bit here with the camera. Going around the window. We'll check all those. And we'll check all the lights. You said this is a... So now that they didn't put the protective piece in there, then my suspicion is that this is a compromised issue right here. And I'll give you some more videos on it when I get to it, you know, and show you what I find. But we'll check all these lights, make sure all that's on there well. And which looks like to me, see, it's already. And you can scrub on it like that and get a little friction under your finger, a little heat, and this starts loosening up, and you got to replace it. All right, well, this is our Shasta. We'll get all the corner mold off. You can see all this debris just falling right out as we're trying to remove it. This whole thing is already collapsed. That is pretty rotted there for sure, huh? But some of the other ones we've worked on have been just as bad. Our bunk platform is out. We got obviously the fiberglass off. That top frame, there's nothing wrong with it except for right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to reskin, let that camera focus in a second. We're going to reskin all of this. And now what we're doing is we're filleting this because we want to see exactly how far back that rot goes. And then we'll put a new piece up inside here. So some of this here has a radius that goes on here. And when you do more than one radius, and there's a series, they're called radii. So there's another one right here. And then at the top, where it comes over, there's little radius up there. Okay, so let me show you what's going on. This is the one we pulled out. You can see it's all rotted. So when they put the screws in, what happens is you can see how this all wants to split apart. This is what's called delamination on a plywood. You can see how this screw just wedged that apart, and it's wedging them all apart right there. Get the light on there. That wedges it apart. Look at here. Put some more screws in there, right? Cracked it, split it apart. Same with this one. Started cracking it right there, you can see. Okay? So these here, you have to, on these, I'm going to use a composite because a composite is more of a plastic, so it won't break. And then on here, you have to use solid wood. When you go to put a screw on the end of this frame, when you go to put a screw in here, so I get this to stand up. If you go to put a screw in this, right there, you basically, you got a broom right here, right? This little brush. You're trying to put the screw in here. It's not going to have the holding power. It's not going to hold as well as it would if it were solid stock. Or, see now if you have the screw going this way, that's different. Because now it's going to, when the screw threads, it'll pull all those plies together. So this is why it's called plywood, because you can see the plies. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, you see my hand here. 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like it's an 8 ply. This would be considered a ply. And then there's another one. That's a ply. You see, so we get 2, 3. So there's several of them in here, maybe 8 or 9, if I can count them right, because some of them are rotted all together. But you get my point. That's why it's called plywood. And you can get thinner plywood, you get all different plywoods, and when you look at it, it'll say, in this case, it would probably say 8 ply on the label, or you look at another sheet, it may say 4 ply, or 3 ply, and so forth. So that's what you would want to look for, and that determines how much strength is going to be in there in the rating on the sheathing, okay? But nonetheless, even though this is a pretty good, substantially thick stock, you still can't put the screws in there. They're not going to hold right. So we're going to do these with solid stock on here. And the other problem that I'm going to use a 2x on here, and I'll use a 2x on the opposite end. It'll be 1.5 instead of this 1 inch. But in the centers, I'm going to run 3/4, and all that is probably going to be all stapled together, so, and glued in there. So I don't want to split the 1x stock, right? Because it's so thin, I just may split it. Or if I have to, I'd have to put a pilot hole, and then some people call it pre-drilling, but typically you pre-drill in metal because you drill and then you have to drill again. But if you may have to put a pilot hole on the thinner stock so you don't split it. But that's why staples come in real handy, and when you glue them, I mean, they'll hold. When a staple goes in, it kind of projects out. It doesn't go in straight usually. They'll go in and they'll kind of hit the grain, and then they just kind of curve out. So, well, that's where we're at so far, and I'll give you some more updates here as we go along. But now I got to get to making all these templates up, and then I got to make that whole radius with a bunch of radii for that whole front end, and they're all different. That's why I can make a template out of what I have, but this one is different from the last one I did. This one has a bigger radius on it than the last one I did, which was smaller. It's almost a 3-inch difference. So back to work we go. This is the piece that we took out of this here. That's the shape. This is the interior, and then here's our fiberglass over here that comes over. So like that corner. All right. So this is the piece, and I put it and traced it. Took it out real easy, and I traced it with just a thin piece of plywood, and it is perfect. And my point is, I like to do these repairs, but I don't want to do them twice. I don't think anybody wants to do them twice. So I like to find out, where did the problem come from? So I took the time and I lined this thing up just absolutely perfect, and it was absolutely true all the way around. And then I even made a point of, you can probably see some ink. I didn't cut it with the bandsaw that way. I made my sander, and I sanded it with a disc sander, right, to make sure it was perfect. So now we go to put this piece up. We line it up like it should. I even go to the top, marking whose top, make sure everything is right the way it come off. A little bit of weld issue there, but I'm going to line up with the top right there. And then we marry it into this. That top looks real good. But then when we come back around here and line it up like where it should, right there, look at that gap underneath there. See that? That's the way the old stock was. And that prevented the corner mold from coming around properly, which explains why we had all the leaks and most of the damage was in here. All that water was coming in this way, and you can see how it was coming in. See the staining? It was coming in from there because it wasn't seated right. And it actually had wicked up. There's a lot more water here. So it probably wicked up this way and had a little bit of leak, because when we took this piece off, someone had wadded a whole bunch of caulking up inside the track to try to cover the screws as well. So you can see how far back it's traveled, and that's why we're trying to open it up, and then we're going to get a new piece in there and get that right. So now that tells me this piece is wrong. That's straight up wrong. So my next thing I'm going to do is make my adjustments. But prior to doing that, I'm going to go over to that side and make sure that's true, because this has to be perfect. If it's not perfect, that fiberglass won't come around and won't sit right. Hey, give you a Shasta update here. So we got the platform built up underneath there. We just trowel fitted. It's not done. We still got to get the fiberglass on the top, but I want to make sure everything was going to fit right. So once we build something like that, we set that in dry, what I call dry fit. And then this is the radius that I built. And I can't find the radius pieces they had in there. There really wasn't any. We don't see any around, and everything kind of fell apart on us. So, but then some other stuff we had to do was up on top. So come around this shop that could probably use a broom or a mop. There's a mop. We can probably get that to work. All right. So let's go over here and take a look. Oh, they already covered it up. But we had a piece of stock in here. This was all rotted. So we fixed all this, and we're going to redeck this. Look at all this glue on here. Some of it doesn't look like it took too well. And also it didn't go over too well. So, and then we're going to fix this D-lam on the back. So get all that. And then we have got, so that's what we're doing right now, is prepping the, we're prepping the roof so we can redeck. You look at the way they put these in. This is the antenna they had. And all they do was just put it through this. This is just thin. It's not going to be enough to hold all that. So what we did is put these plates down, because we're going to be putting a different one on, and now the other decking will go over it, and then we'll have something nice, solid stock that's 16 gauge. We'll be able to get in there. So, and then they had the wires just sitting on the roof. We didn't like that, so what we did was troughed it in there, and we're going to redeck that as well. And then again, we put the same plates. You can see the plates over there underneath the cinder block to hold it down. But I didn't want those wires just slopping around. That'll come up through a boot. But it's for this over here. Alright, that's where we are so far. Look at all the glue we got on here. Then we're going to take that sheet and she's good to go. Alright, so we've got this passenger side. We're already getting that down. We've already got it glued. Now we're just rolling this roof out. So that's what we're doing. We're going to have to get this driver's side. We'll get it glued. And then we're also working on over here on this bunk is what we're trying to put together. So we've got a lot going on. Now we just roll it with a heavy roller. We already got her on there, all glued. You can hear it. All right, this is our Class C Shasta. We just finished it up, and then the customer asked us to put these LED lights on, so that's what we're doing. And then I realized I forgot to get a final clip. So we've got a GAF 60 mil roof. You can see the way we got these boots for the satellite. We've also got these boots mounted here. There are bolts sticking up out of there, so if they want to change it out, if it breaks or a tree gets on it or whatever, all they have to do is loosen up that nut right there. There's 3 of them. And the same for the dish over here. Do the same thing. And they can pop them right off, unscrew the coax. And then everything is all heat welded. All those boots are all heat welded in there. Everything's all heat welded. There is a heat welding video on our YouTube if you want to watch it. Just go to our channel and then click in, type in the heat welding. And then on the air conditioner, we've got the stands that we fabricated in the back right there. It just gives us some balance. And then we've got this front counter flash. And the purpose of that is to make sure water doesn't come down the cover to try to get back into the foam gasket. That's what that does. And everything else all heat welded all the same way. I'm trying to get around there. I can show you. But it's a 60 mil GAF TPO. That's what it is. That's the product. So that's a 20-year roof system. But like I said, everything is all heat welded together. Then along the edge here, we go along this rail. That's all double layered. We put 2 layers on there. Everything does. If you've ever run a caulking gun, you know that the you'll hear like a pop or a crackle. You just injected air. So now as a coach will be going down the road, it could potentially breach. And if it does, then you potentially have a leak. That's not good for sure. So I figured, what are the chances if you go over it with 2 strikes, what's the chances of having one air pocket land on top of another one? Probably slim to none. So I'm going to get down. I'm going to show you how we did the bunk, because obviously you saw we redid the bunk. But I'm going to show you how we seal it, and this is the way I would recommend to seal it. So let me get off of this scaffold, and I'll show you in a second here.